last night, obviously, all that, and it's a shame when an exciting game with 65 total points comes down to one moment. But sometimes it happens. We invest the 3 hours in the hopes that we have that one moment that will inspire us or frustrate us or otherwise give us stuff about which we can talk well into the next day. And that was the moment you saw at the top of the show, the failed fourth and very short call by the Bills to not kick the field goal, to try to get the first down, and inevitably try to win the game with a touchdown. Let's hear from Coach Sean McDermott and from the guy who had the opportunity to secure the first down, Bills quarterback Josh Allen.
Yeah, I mean, we're this far from winning the game, and I owe that to my players. And I believe in my players. I believe in our quarterback. So I trust my guys. Obviously, we didn't get it done in this case, but I trust my players.
Didn't work out in our favor, obviously. Didn't have the greatest footing. It happens. It's game of inches. The play before was pretty close too. Didn't turn out in our favor today.
Felt, hey, if we're that far from potentially winning the game right there was the best thing we could do. We hadn't stopped them on defense for a number of drives there in the second half, really. So, but again, felt like we could go and win the game right there, and obviously didn't get it done.
Okay, I look, we're going to talk about this for a while, and I'm not going to pretend to have a crystal ball, and I'm not going to make any absolute positions on here because I just don't know what should have been done there. But I want to explore both sides of it.
Yeah, okay.
I think it's fair.
Sure.
We live in a world where far too many things are unfairly both-sided.
Right.
This is one that can fairly be both-sided. And let's start with this idea that I trust my players. Because as Sean McDermott is saying in one breath, I trust my players, he makes it clear he doesn't trust half of his players. He trusts his offensive players, and he doesn't trust his defensive players to hold firm in overtime if the Titans win the toss. That's the key here. He trusts some of his players. And so as much of it is an endorsement of Josh Allen and the rest of the offense, it's an indictment of what his defense was doing that night. Not a blanket overall indictment that they stink and they're going to give up 34 points every game, but they couldn't stop the Titans in the second half last night.
Yeah.
So for as much as he trusted his offense, he did not trust his defense, and that was part of it, Chris.
Well, sure, it is. I think what he's saying that first off, he's just telling you he's trusting the guys out on the field in that situation as it pertains to the game right there. I mean, how can he trust his defense? How can he? We saw the Bills' kryptonite last night for the first time, the team that we thought was the best team in football. We thought maybe they fixed their woes of, being overpowered by a big running physical football team, and that was not the case last night. But so I understand him going for it there. You're right. I mean, yes, he doesn't trust his defense. His defense gets that. They know what happened last night. They went, oh, damn, that sledgehammer Derrick Henry, when he started to go off in the second quarter, the game changed. It was never the same after that. And then it got to the point, too, now where, Buffalo had to play the hand of, wait, we got to stop Derrick Henry and load the box. And it ignited, of course, the passing game in Ryan Tannehill that went on fire in the fourth quarter. So I have no issue with the decision, at all. I mean, to me, one of the funny things, and Pete brought this up before we even went on the show, and I was going to say, too, we don't even, really think twice about second-guessing coaches in these situations anymore. I mean, that's where it's just gone crazy to me. But, I have no problem with, again, Mike, you and I talk a lot about, reading the game, having a gut for how you feel on the sidelines. Forget the numbers. I think the gut would tell you, man, overtime, if they get the ball first, they might just smash it down our face and we might lose the game right off the bat. And that's where I'm not going to fight back about the decision, or at least McDermott's thought process. But you're not wrong in the fact that he doesn't trust the defense there.
And here's another side of it, too.
Yeah.
McDermott says we have that far to go to win the game.
Right.
And we need to be fair to the circumstances. They were not defending the goal line. It would have been a first down with less than 30 seconds on the clock.
Right.
You still got to get into the end zone.
100%.
So I understand that the analytics crowd, and I'm not saying this in a demeaning way, there are all sorts of factors that come into play here. But we have to remember they were still more than 2 yards away from pay dirt. This was not, if you convert, you automatically win. You extend the drive, and you still have to score. And maybe you will, and maybe you won't. And on the other side of it, if you go for the field goal, you still have to put it through the uprights. Now, from the 2-yard line, it's an old school extra point, which almost was never missed. It's too close. Even if you're trying to shank it, it doesn't have a chance to go far enough either way to miss the uprights because it's right there in your face. But what comes next, we'll never know. Would they have still scored from inside the 2? I don't know. They didn't have a whole lot of time to do it. What were they going to do? What was their play call? Did they like what play calls they had left if they had gotten that first down? Apparently they did, or they wouldn't have gone for it. But let's not boil it down to an automatic win if they get it, because they still had to get into the end zone.
No, I hear you there too. You're right. And listen, we saw all night, and this is the beauty of football. I mean, listen, I'm not trying to be a jerk here. Hey, I think the lesser team was still the Tennessee Titans, but they were in that game and won that game because of situational football. Because Mike Vrabel and the defense and company held Josh Allen, the Bills, to field goals early on in the football game. So I'm with you there, Mike. I'm not ready to just say they were going to score a touchdown, either way. What they would have had is, I would think, at least 3 opportunities, and they had 1 timeout left, to where I would think you're going to give the ball to Josh Allen and let him throw the ball and have those opportunities to score the touchdown. And then maybe if you don't get on those 3 opportunities, you go for it on 4th and the win too. So you're going to put the ball in Josh Allen's hands 4 times inside the 3-yard line there. Hey, I like my chances. I do. If I'm Sean McDermott, again, it's one of the better players in all of football, and we know how dangerous he is, like off schedule. And I think that's where I just get to. Again, the play call itself, you could start to get into that. Just the quarterback sneak. Vrabel and the Tennessee Titans obviously had a good feel for what was coming there. They were not prepared. And I think when you add all that together, I mean, hey, Mike, I'm with you there. I'm with you, but I'm not going to be mad at Sean McDermott for going for it. Certainly not. I will question a little bit. Quarterback sneak, your offensive line hasn't necessarily won the battle all night long. But you do have a 245-pound quarterback. So listen, we can Monday morning quarterback that a little bit. But again, I'm not going to go crazy on that call either.
Let's take a look at that if we can.
Sorry, I said a lot there.
Because no, you're fine.
Yeah.
They tried to get cute. They set up in shotgun.
Yes, right.
And then Josh Allen rushed to the line, took the snap, and tried to force his way through.
Right.
And that falls into the cute category, and that's fine. That's fine. But when you have an offense like the Bills, see, he walks up like he's doing something. Well, it's like, oh, you know what the hell? I'm going to take the snap.
No doubt.
And don't get cute when you've got Josh Allen. You don't have to get cute. You shouldn't have to get cute. I'd rather have the ball in his hands, shotgun formation, let him move around a little bit,
type
see
of
if
run,
he finds a guy open or run it.
Sure.
Like he did on the prior play when he almost got the first down, when he leaped, and it looked like, I don't know why they didn't measure it.
I don't either.
It looked awfully damn close.
Right.
That at least you pull out the sticks and see if he got the first down. But I always like multiple options. You make it one option, one chance when you do that. You get kind of cute, and which tells me you got concerns about running a traditional quarterback sneak against that defense. So we're going to have to catch him off guard.
Right.
Well, you know what? You didn't catch him off guard. So I would have preferred to see a shotgun snap and Josh Allen with chances to make magic that way than bullet up the middle.
Yeah, listen, I hear you there. Listen, all your points make sense to me, definitely. And hey, they were trying to get cute. Where I didn't know if they would definitely do it. I wish we could show. Could we go back and show the play one more time, guys, in the back? Just because to your point with the shotgun. One, I did not think he was going to call the quarterback sneak, especially rewind it a little bit there if we can, guys. The defensive line squeezed down right here. Hey, here comes quarterback sneak. That's where I was like, oh, well, they're not going to run the quarterback sneak. Obviously, the Tennessee Titans are ready for it. But it must have been an already preordained play. It was all just window dressing to do, hey, we're going to do the quarterback sneak, bottom line. And, again, they hadn't been able to run the ball the traditional way all night. Listen, this is the only thing to me you can second-guess. I'm not going to second-guess Sean McDermott going for it. But certainly when a night when you haven't overplayed or beat the defensive line and the run game a whole lot, and now they've played a defensive formation that looks like they're ready for that quarterback sneak, hey, we could second-guess that a little bit, but I'm not going to go too crazy there either.
I'm very intrigued now. Can we show it one more time, control room? Because there's a chicken and the egg thing here. Oh, Pete says we can't show it again. We've reached our contractual limit, and he's joking. Now, they moved into that look before Josh Allen started walking down, so it's not like they sensed something from film study. That was my first thought when we saw them shift in. Something made them shift in. They guessed right because they were immune to something that would have gone off tackle in that position. Or, they put the strength of their defense right in the middle as Josh Allen's walking up. And it's almost like he didn't notice the shift because he was trying to sell this idea that I'm not really coming up to snap the ball. Right, I'm looking around. I wonder if he didn't see the defensive lineman shift to the middle and what he would have done if he did.
I know. Well, honestly, like to your point, Mike, I think this was a shift of movement really to get Buffalo to jump off sides. That's what I really think it was. One of those, where the defense yells, move, and they do it like that, hoping to, simulate the snap count a little bit to get the offensive line to jump off sides, and maybe now you go, oh, gosh, we can't go for it, or if we do go for it, it's a 6-yard, 4th and 6 instead of inches. So I do think it was that aspect, but you're right. I mean, to me, it doesn't look like he had the option to me. It looked like it was just preordained. It was all like, hey, we're shotgun, you're right, blah, blah, blah. I'm not going to really snap it, said Hutt. But Jeffrey Simmons, he blows up the gap between the left guard and the left tackle, and that's that. And then, of course, Josh Allen loses his footing, and that's how you lose a football game on the road, and that was a lot of fun to watch. I'll say that. It was an awesome game.
The Bills did have a timeout left, but they had just used one, so they couldn't have used it again.
Right.
They had used one before that same play. The Titans used it after.
Right
I
after
don't know how
when
that
they
mechanically
saw the
works. If you can go back and forth with multiple timeouts. But regardless, Josh Allen took the snap. Josh Allen did not get it. And he kind of slipped, too. That's part of it. It's not just the conceptual notion of do you go for it or do you kick the field goal. There's other things that fall under that drive the outcome. And one of the things that drove the outcome was he kind of slipped once he got the ball. He didn't get a chance to launch the 6'7" frame forward the way that he wanted to. Because really, if all he did was fall straight down, he's getting the first down. But he kind of slipped and his legs went out from under him, and it kept him from getting that push forward. Because if you'd have laid out the scenario for me ahead of time as to what they were going to do, even though I think it was a little bit cutesy, I would have assumed he was going to get the first down. I thought when he took the snap, he's getting the first down. So it's hard for me to say they shouldn't have done it because I thought he was getting the first down.
Yeah, I'm with you there. Again, that's why I don't think we can really second-guess Brian Daboll or McDermott here. It didn't work out in their favor. Okay. Buffalo's MO all year has kind of just been attack, pressure. We're coming. Just eat it, see if you can stop it. That's what they do. And I don't know what the numbers say, but I would think that quarterback sneaks with Josh Allen, he's towards the top of the league since he's entered the NFL. He's definitely one of the best red zone runners as far as quarterbacks are concerned out of all quarterbacks in football. I mean, his stats I know are up there in that department, and let alone we know he's a big, powerful, athletic guy. So that's where it is hard to second-guess the decision all in all, especially with a timeout. I get it from McDermott's standpoint. I get it from Brian Daboll's standpoint. The only problem was they didn't block it, execute it the right way. Vrabel and company were prepared, and I think it was one more inkling of Vrabel and the defensive side had a good feel for the Bills' offense and what they wanted to do for a lot of the night. And even though they scored 31 points, it wasn't an easy 31 points. Josh Allen and company had to work for it, that's for sure.
Leave that graphic up. I'm very intrigued by this. And this goes to the point that you made earlier, Chris, via Pete. We don't criticize coaches when they do this anymore. It used to be if you did the conventional thing and it failed, you never got criticized. If you did the unconventional thing and it failed, you were criticized and criticized. And if you did it enough times, you were fired.
Right.
This is an official NFL account. Next Gen Stats on Twitter. The Bills' decision to go for it on 4th and inches from the Titans 3, trailing 34-31. It was more like the 2, was unequivocally the optimal call, according to the NGS decision guide. I think unequivocally is probably the wrong term. Unequivocally would be 100-0. It was slanted in the favor of going for it. I wouldn't say it was unequivocally because you could have kicked the field goal. And here's the other reality. We now have a data point that would suggest you shouldn't go for it in that situation. And I don't know how much every additional instance of going for it in a situation where you're supposed to go for it and you fail, how much that starts moving the needle. But I sense this big picture statistical tug of war where every iteration moves the rope a little bit this way or moves the rope a little bit this way. But this would be an instance where, as it gets added to the pile of circumstances and data and formula, it would say maybe you shouldn't have gone for it because you didn't get it.
Yeah, no, I hear you. I hear you. But I think in the world of science and numbers, when there's a 21% difference, that's when they say unequivocally. I'm guessing. I'm with you there. Hey, listen, there is the argument to be made of like, hey, we think we're the better football team, so we're just going to extend the game and keep playing. But I don't know if they were the better team right there at that moment of the game, late in the fourth quarter. Like McDermott said, their defense was struggling. They were getting worn down a little bit. So were they the better team at that point? I don't know. That's debatable. I mean, Tannehill, tore them up the series before. The series before that, it was, Derrick Henry sledgehammer runs all the time. So, I think we just saw really what happened was a great game where we had a lot of great plays going back and forth. We tied the all-time lead changes for a Monday Night Football game, right?
Yep.
We saw everything
7
last night. I mean, we saw turnovers. We saw magical throws by Josh Allen. We saw the most unbelievably big, fast human being I've ever seen in my life run over people and then pick up speed and run away from everybody. So it was a great game, and it just came down to a big situation, and Tennessee won. They got million-dollar football players over there, and sometimes we can't forget that too.
I want to give Derrick Henry his due praise in a moment, but I still want to continue to focus on the dynamics within a football organization that have gotten us to the point where not only is it okay to put all eggs in one basket on 4th and short and avoid the safer, at least superficially safer play and take the tie. Because of the presence in each and every team now of an analytics department led by an analytics guru who spends a lot of time with the owner. And we've used this comparison before. This is Costanza picking up the calzones and sitting with Steinbrenner for lunch every single day. This is someone who is very close to the owner and helps the owner understand the game like the owner has never understood it before. And you have to answer to the owner now when you ignore something like the tweet we saw from Next Gen Stats. If Sean McDermott goes for the field goal and loses, he's got to deal with all these numbers that made it clear that your win probability dipped under 50% if you had kicked the field goal, and you don't know you're going to win the toss, and your defense is gassed, and you've got Derrick Henry. You've got to deal with an owner now who is far more informed and far less likely to be bamboozled by a big personality coach who wants to blow into the room and just charisma the owner into accepting what the coach did. And that dynamic applies when it comes to those micro decisions, and it deals with the macro realities of a football team now. The coaches are no longer able to BS the owners the way they used to. And that's a fascinating shift in how football teams operate, because basically the analytics guy is the little Jiminy Cricket who's whispering into Pinocchio's ear about what the reality is. And so the owner is the one now who is in a much better position to push back against a coach who tries to come in and football talk his way through one of these situations. And that's why you're not just forgiven for doing it, you're expected to do it because of the tweet that we showed.
Well, there's definitely more pressure along those lines, no doubt. Is there more like of a want to, we have to use this because we have the analytics department, and It's part of the game now. I mean, definitely there is that pressure. Now, like to what you're saying, I don't know if that goes on in every organization where the analytics guy gets to be like free access to the owners. I do think there's some teams like that. I don't know if that's the way it is in Buffalo. I'd like to think it's not. I'd like to think that the owner there goes, hey, Sean McDermott's really smart and he's a damn good coach, and he listens to the analytics, and he also uses a little bit of his own, he's not Italian like you, his pasta and meatballs gut, but his steak and potatoes gut to feel the game out a little bit. And you're right. It has, I think, empowered the owners to think they know more or they have a better understanding of the game there. So there is that aspect. There is. But I do think you got to be careful if you're ownership or anybody else micromanaging a guy like Sean McDermott who does know what he's doing. I mean, he manages football games ever since he's taken over Buffalo, about as good as I've seen in football. So this is no idiot. And I'm with you. I mean, listen, I like analytics, but I don't think it's the end-all, be-all. That's for sure. I'll say that much. But it certainly has a powerful place in the NFL right now, and it's very powerful to your point, to people that might not know the X's and O's of football to a degree, and this makes them feel like they know more.
And I know analytics have been around for a long time, but they haven't been around to the point where they are now, where you have these kinds of specific formulas that tell you to go for it under circumstances where when we were growing up, you in the 80s, me in the 70s, you never went for it there. You took the 3. And if you went for it and you didn't get it, you had hell to pay.
No doubt.
From the press, from the fan base, and from your owner, because you should have taken the 3 and gone to overtime. Something I thought of this morning, Chris, there's a reason to just get out of Dodge one way or the other, because it's Monday night. You don't want to play another 10 minutes. It was a tough physical game.
Yeah, it was.
And I thought, well, the Bills are on a short week. They got to play on Sunday, but they're buys this week. And I don't know how you quantify those things, but beyond the moment, there's a broader analysis that needs to be done when it comes to managing your team and keeping your guys at the optimum level of performance. And if you're ever going to have a 70-minute Monday night game, the perfect time to do it is the last game before your bye.
Yeah.
And I just wonder whether that was considered in deciding to not kick the field goal, because if you do kick the field goal, yeah, you're going to play a longer game, but at the same time, you get the week off to recover from it. And that would be another little grain of rice in favor of not worrying about having an extended game on a Monday night.
Sure. I mean, I hear you there. I hear you. I mean, you're right. You could go all out. Let's play another quarter. Who cares? But I think, reading the tea leaves, which I do think Sean McDermott was doing, and again, just staying within the mantra of their football team, especially, hey, we know the defense is great, and it's, still the top-ranked defense in football this year. But I still, the star of the show is the offense, and the fact of how much pressure their offense puts on another team. And, of course, you could argue that they got the best player in football with Josh Allen. I mean, he's in a short list with that crew. So I can't second-guess it a whole lot there, and especially when your defense, your team lost the time of possession battle in the second half, and was getting worn down on the defensive side of the ball. I don't think there's any doubt about that. They were a little bit like, which way did it go? Which way did it go? Is it Derrick Henry? Oh, it's play action. It's A.J. Brown. They were getting hit from both sides with haymakers, and I think from that standpoint, I totally understand McDermott, again, going for it and trying to win it right there with Josh Allen.
One last observation and something that just occurred to me, and I don't know that I've ever articulated this before, but one reason that I have resisted this full and complete embrace of analytics in football is it really does further convert players into robots. And it strips the human element out of the game. And they already look like robots in their uniforms. And we already have kind of a culture in the NFL where it's next man up, and it's we root for the laundry and the hell with the players if the players want something that the owner doesn't want to give them. And this is just one more thing that makes it less human and less personal. And it is a very human game. And there are ways to achieve a higher level of performance based upon the inspiration that you feel in the moment, your ability to fight through whatever pain or exhaustion you're dealing with. And I just feel like we lose a little bit of that when we try to reduce it to a mathematical formula.
Yeah,
I think
hear
that's
that.
why I've always
I hear
had
that.
a little bit of a resistance to the whole thing.
Right.
Because the human drama and the human achievement of football and everything that goes into it, we need to remember that. And when we reduce it to this tweet from the NFL Next Gen Stats account, it's not a cash register. And that's what just irks me.
Well, yeah.
And I've come to the point where I can just accept it and try to compartmentalize it, but I hope other people will as well and understand that these are still humans and every situation is different like a snowflake.
Well, yeah, I hear you there.
I hope we never get to the point where we lose sight of that.
Well, no, but we're just in the era right now where it's, aggressive over being a chicken. That's all that matters. Aggressive. Nobody cares. Hey, they were trying to be aggressive. They went for it. That's okay. That's cool on social media. They were aggressive. That word plays. Chicken, afraid, what are you doing? Doesn't play. Everybody pile on. Look at this chicken. He's a wimp. He didn't go for it. That doesn't play on social media. That's where the world has gone to a degree. I mean, at least in my eyes, nobody second guesses it anymore that way. And, yeah, we don't second guess a ton of fourth down decisions and things that go on across the NFL now that don't even get talked about during the week where you go,
you know why? But you know why?
Yeah.
You know why? If you
What?
second guess them, then you have the analytics mob up your ass.
No, exactly
That's why
right. You're
people
not
don't
allowed
do
to say
anymore.
it. You're not allowed to say it.
Yeah.
You're exactly right. You're going, and because then it goes like here we go. Oh, the numbers all year show this. Okay, well the numbers are also influenced by like teams that are severely better than a lesser team, and they went for it, as they were kicking the crap out of that team, and yeah, they made it. So yes, I mean I'm with you. I hope we don't lose that aspect either. But I feel like that's where we are, at least with the psychology of the whole situation in our world right now.
Hi, I'm Mike Tirico, and thanks for watching. Make sure to hit subscribe for the latest news and highlights from NBC Sports.